Have you seen my neighbor?
It's never been perfect every time we try to do something, but we learn every time, so
Yeah.
we're good to go. You ready?
Ready.
All right. Welcome to the Adventure Coaches Podcast. I'm Carl,
I'm Dwayne.
and we're the Adventure Coaches. We're sitting out here. I think we should set the stage first of like where we are
Yes.
before we talk
I
about
agree.
what we're doing. So where is it that we're hanging out right now? In the middle of the woods.
It's like in a place where I think it's most alive. You know, what we came from our homes, and we came to a place where it all began. It all started, and it's down in the dirt, in the grassroots. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, so this is a perfect place to start. Hopefully, there's a few animals that come join us while we're doing our podcast, like a little chipmunk.
Yeah.
This is life, and this is what we're trying to open a door to others with. So it's this is the right place for sure.
Yeah, and we were on our way down here talking about, a lot of podcasts are done in rooms with sound proofing, and it's perfect, but a lot of the stuff that we do is outside in the woods, in the wilderness, and that's why we chose to do our podcast from this location. We're in the middle of Weaselhead Park, off the beaten path, and we're surrounded, for the people who don't see this, but the people who are listening, we're surrounded by trees, some of them living, some of them dead. The colors are changing because it's now the end of September.
I love when seasons are, there's a change, there's a shift.
Yeah.
In energy, in life, in the colors, everything. Seasons changing. It resembles our own lives. You know how we go through things, and over time things will change. Knowing that is always gives you hope. There's something new coming.
Yeah.
New season.
Yeah, even if we think about the seasons of the year, right? We've got 4 seasons of the year, but when we talk about adventure, we've got seasons of an adventure. Even if an adventure is 2 days, we've got multiple seasons within that adventure.
Oh yeah.
The leading up to the adventure, the start of the adventure, during the adventure, the finishing the adventure, and then the season of reflection afterwards, right?
Right.
That's where we're at actually right now today.
We're reflecting and looking at. It's like when you plant seeds in a garden. Over time, when you nurture it and water it and cultivate it, it slowly starts to grow and something appears. And this is what we've bear witness to during this adventure, is all the work leading up to it. And we're now seeing something coming out of the ground. It's revealing itself to us through images and video and dialogue, and capturing that is what we're doing, and it's done through an exchange of information between the adventure coaches and the clients that are coming in. We encapsulate them and just cultivate their experience, and never knowing what truly is going to
What's going to happen?
appear.
Yeah.
So it's just good.
Yeah. So, man, we could talk about a whole bunch of different things today, but I think we should start with, now that we've talked for about 5 minutes just about random things, how did we get here? I think that's a good thing to start with.
Oh Lord, it's a good story, right?
Yeah, how did we get here?
We all have a story, and me and Carl, our story is we were born both in Nova Scotia. Carl in Cape Breton and me in Halifax. That's the one unique thing. But then, what happens next?
We joined the army together in 1995.
Mm.
We ended up in the same place in Saint Jean sur Richelieu, Quebec.
We and it was there was a community of people that came into the military that year, and we went on to, when we finished basic, we went on to battle school, and that element there took us into a battalion once they trained us up to basic soldiering qualifications. And that's where the adventure began. The first day we went down to the recruiting center, but when we got to battalion, truly the intensity went just
it jumped. And then we had our military careers. Of course, mine was short, Dwayne's was longer. Between the two of us, we've got 27 years in the military, and then somehow we ended up both living in Calgary. Within a year, like I moved here for school. I'm in nursing school now. That's a new adventure for me and my family. And then we connected. Dwayne's living in Calgary now on his adventure, and we just started sort of coming out and doing these things that we used to do together in the military, in our jobs. Put the rucksack on, go for a hike, go for a run in the woods. Splash in the in the river, and it just. Every time we got together, what happened was we would say, we should do this, we should do that, we should take people out on this, and then we started doing that, taking our friends out on adventures, and then that just fed. It was like you said, we cultivated the garden, right, the seed, and it just kept feeding and feeding and feeding and feeding a vision that we both had, and we polished it to the point where we just finished an adventure this weekend with two amazing ladies in the backcountry of the Rocky Mountains here.
I look at that, and for everyone to know, the gems that are in life, usually around them is a lot of heat, a lot of trial and circumstances that arise in life that try to choke you out and take your energy and like weeds in a garden. Carl with epilepsy, diagnosed and compromising his career in the military. Myself, the traumas and life experiences that I shared in, very difficult in so many different ways. We all share in that. We all have had our own storyline with that, but what I really want to look at when I'm looking at Carl and me is the amount of failure that had to happen in our lives, the amount of difficulty in our lives that had to happen in order to bring us here. It's the ladies that we were out with, champions. There was one of them mentioned just an excellent observation of how many failures. I think we were talking about Michael Jordan at the time. How many failures leading up to making him such an impressive presence on the basketball court, man. So many failures. People like to overlook that one really quickly. There's something that happens in a fight. You have one guy who wins and one guy who learns, right? Yeah. So we look at loss as a failure in this negative way, but we try to exploit that and bring something different out of it. I've had a lot of failures, and each one of those failures brings to the surface a potential tool in life that I can extract from it if I push away the sand. So it's all about doing the doing and the work. I have to push away the sand in order to look through the traumas and the things that came into my life that disrupted me and caused me to focus solely on a lot of these different things. Makes you sick. Thoughts can make you better. Thoughts can also make you sick. And when I came to Calgary, I was working through a process on a trail, and Carl, he had come to Calgary. He had already been doing the same thing before I even came here. He had a foot on the ground, and he grabbed a hold of me. We did a link up like we're taught in the military, and we started meeting off the grid, like on trails, unmarked trails, just experiencing something different, looking for something different. And so this came from the dirt. It's where everything is most important. This is where it starts. And we come to a realization in life that we work well down around that area with people and influencing them how to get out of things and how to move forward, and just being able to reveal someone or turn a light on in a room sometimes is all that's necessary. Just turn that light on for them, and then they get to take a look at what they've been not seeing, a new focus.
Yeah, it's interesting you're talking about, I had a foot on the ground before you got here. And one of the things that, as an infantry soldier you want to do is you want to do the recce course, you want to do the Pathfinder course, and I never got a chance to do those things. But as you're talking about that, I was already, like, I was the recce guy, and I was the Pathfinder for when you got here, right?
Oh, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
I had to turn off in order to turn on what was inside. And Carl enabled that by doing the recce, spending time doing the recce, and doing a good job. When we came out, that's when the change started to happen.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It is.
The things you think about when someone else is, the metaphors and the visuals that come up. But
wow.
What we're doing here today is this is our first podcast. Right? We've talked about doing a podcast for many months. I used to have a podcast called the Adventure Coach Podcast, but now it's the Adventure Coaches Podcast because Dwayne and I have come together, and we're building, we're expanding the vision, and we're going to be doing a lot of different things with people in the woods, basically. And
what an environment to invite people into.
There's a lot of learning that can be had when we step off the beaten path, right? We've got to find our way around obstacles, and all of that is sort of metaphors or analogies for life, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Like I truly believe the trails have been healing me. They've caused me to move in so many different ways. Unlike the ways that I was moving prior to coming out here. Introduced me to a new way of life. I started up 2 new sports that have created new movement, and all kind of focused around being in the mountains, climbing and mountain biking. That has just electrified my life. It's been, and watching Carl, and we have another friend, Justin. He's a firefighter, paramedic, military veteran, just an amazing man who has shared in showing the trail, opening the door to others, and it is exciting to see what others turn into when you bring them out on the trail, because they no longer they cannot. I believe it's almost impossible to remain the same when you leave this city environment or your home environment and you place yourself in something completely different. That, like, we spend time doing a lot of things together, but we also spend a lot of time alone on the trail.
This is, I call it my church. This is my temple where I go to get grounded, and that's why I have such a passion for bringing people to this space or spaces like this, because most people, when they have the opportunity to get out to a place like this, they find grounding and solstice somehow, right? I got a question for you though, and I'll answer it myself, but I'm curious to know from your perspective, what is an adventure coach? Like if people are asking you that question, how would you respond to that for you?
Yeah, an adventure coach is, I believe, it's someone who's experienced a lot of different things, not really good in one facet. An adventure coach has the ability to take the client, that person, and see them, truly see them beyond their the restrictions and constraints in their life, bringing them out into the adventure. Those constraints are removed, and now they have the ability to be themselves. So we try to create an environment that is conducive to that. So struggle is inevitable, but what's even more hidden sometimes is the individual themselves, the true being in their body, like their passions, the things that they love to do, the things that inspire them, get covered up with a lot of information, jobs, titles, and what's inside becomes very small. So when someone's out with us, we have the ability to either increase struggle, decrease it, creating an adventure that is conducive to them through dialogue exchange, trying to find out where their weaknesses are, where their strengths are, what excites them, what we want to do. But we become, it's a tight community, so it's, when I myself and when Carl, when we come in, we encapsulate these people and we focus solely on them, minimizing the stresses and anxieties in the environment so that they can maximize the outcomes that are sitting there waiting for them to have. Unseen, but when we just came off our last adventure, it was remarkable seeing each one of them light up at different moments during the adventure, how the changing environment, how it impacted them. And we just focus on those very intimate moments and try to exploit them so that when they come out of this adventure, it's a reward that keeps giving back to them. So that may be a little bit confusing, and I find when I'm asked that question about an adventure coach, it always comes out a little bit different, just like our approach with each person. Each person requires a different entryway into that relationship. Like we become vulnerable with our clients so that there's some trust that's gained and we can cross that bridge together. It's definitely a new experience for some people that come out with us, because it's not the norm. We're off the program. We're not doing the same. That's what got us into trouble, is running off the same old program and not even wondering why. Like, why am I doing this? I hate this. And you're in it again. Over time we become habitual in our actions, and we run off programs that are outdated. And we help along with identifying that and trying to bring something new into the picture for you, a new focus.
And I agree with all of that, and I'll add to it by saying that there's guides that take people out into the woods, and they do a wonderful job, right? They're well trained. They know exactly what they're doing, and I like to think that we are guides and coaches all in one, in that we're taking people out on an experience, but also at the same time we're coaching them along the way. We're coaching them before we even go. We have meetings together, we set expectations, we create an alliance with the group that's going out there so that everybody's on the same page, everybody knows what each other wants out of the experience. And then during the time that we're out on the adventure, whether it's a 1-hour adventure or a weekend adventure, we're always looking for ways to pull out that inner strength of the individual, right? Like you said, challenge them a little bit, see where, how far we can stretch the bubble, right? And then identifying those things, when we see them, we champion it and acknowledge it right away. Like, look at you. Like, you just lit a fire for the first time without a lighter. How does that feel, right? And we had that this weekend with one of the ladies that was with us. And what she said was, wow, like, she was excited for the fact that she had lit a fire, but she said, I have so much more respect for the people that I watch on these survival shows now, because I didn't realize it was as hard as it is. So
and
that's
it's such a core, primal skill set too. Like when we think about human beings like on Earth, like fire, how important it is. And, a lot of us, couldn't go out into the wilderness and start a fire with nothing. It's a great skill, and you could see the joy from your body learning something new, and the appreciation for it.
Yeah. So if you were to sum up what is an adventure coach, or who are we as adventure coaches, I'd like to think that we're guides, we are leaders, we are educators, right? We're teachers, and coaches, all wrapped up in one, right? To get the most out of people on the experience that we're taking them out on.
Oh yeah. Like I love the fact that you have such a big background of athleticism and sports. You're like all over the page with like competing in so many different areas: hockey, tennis, running. Like just on. And we both have this passion for movement in our lives: sport, boxing, mixed martial arts, and the military. Very physical. It's like, I always look at the military men and women that are out there as athletes, especially high performance athletes, like in critical positions throughout the military. These guys are phenomenal. The amount of lessons learned and experiences that they have to share, like that's me and Carl still tap into that with our friends and stuff that we bring in and out, and that's something that we are encouraged by, looking into our future, sharing, bringing in visitors at different times with some of the different civilian counterparts that we work with and that we take in as clients. They have the ability to learn from our experiences in the military and in sport, but also with some special guests that we have planned to bring in as well. It's you have your doctors and stuff in society, but then you also have like snipers and stuff in like in our army, wartime needed alliances that we have in life. When I look at life, it's like we do it better together than on our own. We need each other to stand up at times, and like this back and forth has been it's important to the military taught us a lot about being a team player, but more even importantly, that fire team piece. Right down, again, the basics, right down to the grassroots, that fire team.
What's it for people who don't know what a fire team is? What is a fire team?
It's your right hand. Like, it's basically you have 360 with he's got your back, you got his back. You do everything together. Your Charlie team, and Charlie team's gonna take the trench. And you're doing that together. Everything you do at night, you're gonna go out to an OP. Charlie team, you're gonna set up an OP on such and such a hill or whatever. But this fire team, you share your vulnerabilities with each other, because you need to. Where I'm weak, he needs to know, so he can, if he has the ability to cover, he can. When he's moving in fire, when we're under contact, I'm covering while he's moving. So it's this piece that we take into life. You go, take that bound, Carl, I got your back.
I think people would understand it in these terms: battle buddy. Right? So and so's my battle buddy, or my workout partner, or in nursing we have huddles, right? There's a registered nurse, there's a licensed practical nurse, and there's a healthcare aide, right? That's our team, right?
It's awesome.
And so I think in all elements of our society we have fire team partners.
Yes.
But in the military, life or death.
It could be your relationship.
It can be your
Like
relationship,
your marriage.
yeah, exactly, with your children, so on and so forth, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a question, for you. And this is sort of to help out the people listening or watching. What are your expectations for the podcast? What do you see coming forward for the podcast? What are you hoping to do with it?
I think it's a window. It's a window to share. They look in at the adventure coaches and get to see a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And our perspectives are constantly changing because of the different people that we're working with. So there's a need for us to be present during our exchanges with the people that we're working with, so that we can truly capture the authenticity of the experience, and making it more about our clients than about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel the need to really truly express that. It's about encapsulating the client, and when that happens, that
Yeah.
you know when someone cares, and you know when someone doesn't. And it's done in a way in which they care for you, they're interested in you, the attention that they give you. They think of things that you don't think of to protect you and look after you. And so this is a window for you to look in at us and kind of pull back the curtains a bit and see the authentic side of Carl and Dwayne. I know a lot of people who know me that have never met me. And I don't know if that's, if you understand what it is I'm trying to say, but I think we've all had people talk to us and you're like, who does he think I am? Who does she think I am? Like they couldn't be more. You know when somebody is hearing you. You just want to be heard. When you hear that in a relationship, it's because that person knows that person's not seeing their true selves.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a window so that you can see who we really are, and allow that to determine whether or not you want to do an adventure with us. Does it spark any interest in your life? It's a window to a new community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a window to see potentially what you could change in your life by bringing in new information and a new environment, and allowing that to slowly, day by day, take an effect on creating a new you. It happens over time, and that's why we want to capture it, and we want to work with people, because there are stories out there that are rich, and they come from places like this.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. And I'll add to that, saying this podcast is a platform for storytelling and story sharing, right? Allowing that sort of the vulnerability of the story to come out, so that we can all grow from each other, right? So the people that we take out on an adventure, the adventure isn't over until about a week later. We take them and we have a podcast episode with them, so that they've reflected for about a week post their experience, and then we sit down and we talk to them about it. And now they have not only the experience and memory of the adventure they went on, we've got a video that we've created for them out of the the videos and photos we took, but now we have an audio recording, an interview sort of process of that podcast around their experience. And that's something that they can take with them for a long time, but other people are going to listen into it and grow and learn from that experience as well. And I think that's going to be a huge part of this podcast. But also, there's going to be times where Dwayne and I throw the stuff in the backpack, go for a hike, stop, and do a podcast episode. Right?
Yeah.
Just like this one. We're out in the woods, we stop, we sit down for a half an hour, 45 minutes, talk about stuff, because when we get out here in the woods, we start talking and it's like, man, we should be recording this stuff, right?
Oh,
and
so much missed, right?
there's so much stuff that we we feel like, I don't know, the message just gets tossed into us when we're out in this environment. So there's that too. So there's, you know, the clients coming in, there's the messages that we'll be sharing on occasion, but then also the people we'll bring in, like our friends that are also adventure coaches, like our friends that are living an adventurous life, that we, you know, they'll tell their stories so people can sort of learn and grow from them as well.
I love the whole idea of I was thinking about what you're just saying there, how we capture things for them in video, images, podcast, dialogue, and packaging it all together, creating it's a real tool. It's something special. When you are being trained in fighting in close quarter battle, like going through doorways and stuff in the military, there's this when you walk through the threshold, they say going into the black, the different people end up doing this, and they black out a lot of different things, and they see very specific elements when they're going into a place. That's another thing that we do as adventure coaches. When they walk into something that is something that is more extreme than they're used to, we have the ability to be their eyes, and bring other things into picture that are lost in fear, in anger, and we miss out on the true life we're supposed to be experiencing because of a lot of emotions that we're focused on in our past. So creating a window for somebody, looking into their future, giving them a new vision, which is started by hearing about their passions.
I'll tell you my version of adventure, and you can share yours. But people always ask me, like, why do you choose? What's an adventure coach, or why do you call yourself an adventure coach? So I always say that life is one big adventure, and so people say, well, what's adventure, right? What's an adventure? Well, when you think of adventure, you think about mountain climbing and skydiving, whitewater rafting and all of that stuff. But I honestly think that reading a book that's outside of your comfort zone, something that's out of the ordinary, that's an adventure, right? You're going to learn something new in the process. You're challenging yourself. Walking around the block, if you've never done exercise in 20 years, walking around the block for the first time, that's an adventure for you, right? Or coming on a kayaking trip to a backcountry campground for the first time in your life with two guys that you've never met before. That's one hell of an adventure, right?
Yeah.
So it could be anything from walking around your block for the first time to climbing a mountain, or approaching somebody as a teenager and asking them out for a date. you know what I mean? Like, life is one big it's a one big adventure filled with a whole bunch of small adventures along the way.
Totally.
And that's what this is all about. It's just exposing people to all of these adventures and preparing them for them so that they're ready and strong and confident to do what they really want to do. They have the vision out in front of them, and we help close that gap.
When they reveal some of their passions, then we have the ability for to create mission specific training that will get them to those places in life that they want to be. Like because there's such a vast there's such a large amount of information attained by all the different experiences and training. We have the ability to bring a very special piece to equipping people before they go out. That's why the community within this is so rich. It's because it prepares you for adventures. It gives you always these small challenges and goal setting targets that we create with you and help you to eventually move towards it, build the confidence step by step, little by little. Like climbing is such a great metaphor for life. That's another thing that we got into. It's
a good transition into the tribe. What we're going to be doing with the Calgary Adventure Tribe. Right? And we were talking about that on the weekend as well, and this is something that we've been building towards, and we'll be launching it soon, but I'm sure we can share it.
I think so. I think it give people time to ruminate around like the idea of being a part of a community kind of like that. It's very it'd be advantageous to be a part of. Like I know that's really what I was looking for when I came here, and we created it in our own little space. But it's time to, we're growing out of this and bringing more people in and out. It's very encouraging and uplifting to see the change that's happening in our lives around us.
Our first Adventure Tribe event is actually October 16th, and it's a Saturday night. We're going to be going for about an hour and a half hike in Fish Creek, and then we're going to stop and we're going to start a fire in the fire pit and just have a fireside chat with people who show up. And this one here it's going to be by donation. Just give us $5 for the wood, right?
Just feeding the community.
Feed the community, and one of the things that we're going to be doing also with all of the proceeds from everything that we do, there's a percentage that we're giving to what we're calling the Veteran Adventure Fund. So you come in, you're not only supporting a veteran company, but then you're supporting veterans who are
in need,
who are struggling, who want to go on an adventure but don't have the means to do so, and we're going to be able to take people out.
Well, that's what our last client said. They said, you know what, they didn't want to plan it, didn't have time to plan it, and when you have a lot going on in your head and there's a lot of internal battles that you're trying to overcome in order to become, we take the planning into our hands. We mold and shape things. All the logistics is taken out of sight, and it's not as scary anymore. Like, you're just going for the ride, and it's a little. We create the waves for you to surf.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So, I got a question for you, Dwayne. Well, man, I'm also sitting here thinking of how beautiful this is and how easy this is to do this. And I used to do podcasts by myself, and I always found it so damn hard to do it because, well, one, I was by myself, so I couldn't carry conversation as well.
Yeah.
So I'd stop the podcast, restart it.
Yeah.
Right? And we're not doing that. We're just having a conversation here, right?
Yeah.
And then two, it just took a lot of setup to try to get people, involved. But anyway, my question for you is, what do you get out of being an adventure coach? Like, what do you get out of the experience?
Yeah, I love it. I love. It totally takes me back to the military. All the men and women that I was gifted in being able to be a part of and work with them, and there was an exchange that happened with me and so many different people. When you help somebody and when you see something in them that they can't see, and then it eventually reveals itself, wow, it's so powerful. Like, to see somebody have success where everything in their mind, like everything in their body was like, no, they've heard everything from their dad, from their mom, from teachers, their friends. Everyone titled them to being, oh, you're this, you're no good at that, you're this, you're this. There's this person who, our true being, needs to come out, and I am looking for that. And when I find it, that person, when I find it, it acknowledged me. The spirit, that place that is so precious to them, acknowledges me because they see me, they hear me, I hear them. Like, I've felt it myself. We all have. And when you meet with somebody there, it's so different than any other place. And there's an exchange. You empower each other. My hand pulling you out of the trench, there's an exchange. My energy is pulling you out, lifting you up out of the trench, and you feel that. When you can't get out and you've been stuck there forever, and somebody pulls you out of there, man, they gave you something that you didn't have. And there was an exchange, and the gratitude right there feeds back into me. I want to do it over and over and over again. I don't want it to stop. So that's this is why, for me, that's my passion, is just being there, working with people, feeling that energy. It's fulfillment. And for me, that's when my being truly comes alive. There's an energy in me that people have been trying to shut down for so many years. Teachers, you name it. They used to call me the Tasmanian Dougal, man, like in the military. Beaver tails and lightning bolts. Holy. I had all this energy, but I didn't know how to use it. When it truly came to surface, it was when I was giving to others, when I was trying to help them achieve something. So I know who I am, and I know where I'm going now, and I truly feel blessed by every chance that I'm given to work with somebody. Because the more screwed up somebody is, the more I want you. You know, I remember when people used to, in the military, guys wouldn't want certain people, and they, hey, McDougall, would you take this guy? Would you take up? Yeah,
Absolutely.
Totally. And then he'd be awesome, and I'd be like, yeah, he was. You just didn't see him, man. You were distracted with all the bullshit. Who lived through that? That was me. I was so loud and crazy that no one could see me. But every now and then there was somebody that would see past all that bullshit, you know, the trouble I was getting in, and they would see me. Wow, man, the gratitude and appreciation I had for those moments when people actually, you know, I'm gonna help McDougall instead of charge him. But you know what I mean? I'm gonna like mentor him. I'm gonna like find out why this keeps happening. I became somebody that I didn't have after a while. I found men in the military and women that were having difficulties like I was. And I seen there was nobody really helping them out. They were a target. And I wanted to change that. They became a target for me, but in a good way, man. They're an objective. I want to be with you. I want to be with you, So that translates right into this, right into the Adventure Coaches. We are here to bring what's best in you out. Like really, right? And that's fulfillment. That's when your body gets in line with your mind. What your mind has been thinking for so long. It wants to do these things. You feel it in your heart. When they come together and you're finally doing it, ooh, you are being like this. There's a specific person in my life, man. I'll tell you. He came in front of me, man, and he's in tears. It's like he became something that he never thought he had in him. It was this speed. He could run, and he never knew it. All the years, it just sat dormant in his body because he just thought it wasn't him, because it was never told.
Nobody cultivated it.
No one.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm on the same page with that, right? It's like, why am I an adventure coach, right? Why do I do this work? And I truly feel that, I mean, I grew up in the woods, right? I grew up in the woods. This is where I am at most at home. And when I'm most at home, I'm most authentic. I'm able to be vulnerable. I'm in an intimate setting with other people, and there's no cloak, right? And you know, you take somebody out into the environment, and it's fun because you get to pull the stuff out of them, but then they're also doing it for you too. And the conversations that happen when we're walking along the trail, or sitting around a campfire, or just like a place like this. You don't even need a campfire. we're just sitting here and we're having a real conversation. When I went to my first coaching course, my first life coaching course, this was a few years back. One of the questions they asked us was, why did you sign up for this coaching course? And then, you know, everybody had their own answers, and it was different for each person. And I said, I'm tired of talking about the weather and complaining about the government. You know what I mean? Like, that's typically what everybody talks about in our society. Oh, it's a nice day outside, you know. What I wanted to do is I wanted to have real conversations with real people, and I wanted to be open and vulnerable. and I didn't know where to find it. And eventually I learned to find it in coaching, and I learned that if I combined the coaching with nature, as in adventure coaching, it just sort of fueled that, and the growth of the seed just it was exponential.
It's amazing how it grows when it's got the right elements around it.
Yeah. Oh, the soil, the sun, all that stuff, like the elements for what we're doing and it just keeps showing up. It just keeps showing up.
It's been a remarkable year.
Yeah. So I don't know what else to say other than this is where we are. We're getting started. This is our first podcast.
Yeah, I think we covered quite a bit. Like just for an intro, we just want people to see us.
Yeah.
And it's like you out there when you've been isolated for a long time and you want to isolate. It's like no one hears you and you're alone. I felt it's crazy. People look at me and I have a lot of energy and stuff, but I felt alone for a long time. I kind of push people away with my energy. And you start to learn that your energy is too much when people stop inviting you to places and things. Overcoming and becoming who you are, overcoming thoughts of what you thought you were supposed to do and becoming more of, how does that happen? It requires a lot of due diligence and looking at self, being a great observer. And what expands that skill set? This environment, the observation, being able to turn on your senses to be aware of what's going on around you, how quickly it changes. We have to do that with ourselves. We have to become very aware of what we are doing. We look outwardly so much. There's so many problems out there. There are specific people dedicated to all these problems. We need to dedicate a lot of our time to ourselves in these days and really truly make sure that we're not allowing old programs to run our present life. Yeah, it's
100%, man. 100%.
Just dirt.
So stay tuned for more. We'll have more podcast episode like this one, but we've got one coming up in the next week or so with the people that we took out on our most recent adventure, and that'll be a story in its own. It'll be an experience in its own, and we'll just keep coming at you.
And this is where we're at, in the roots.
In the roots.
To the plant and the roots.
For those who aren't watching this, Dwayne has got it. He pulled the plant out of the ground and he's showing the roots.
That's where that's where this is at. Like germination stage has passed. We have received enough light and water in our travels together. We need to now share what has been produced.
The fruits.
There's the fruits of our labor have revealed themselves, and we just want to share more of it with other people.
Yeah, you know what? I was with a friend 2 weeks ago. We were camping, and that's what he mentioned. He said, when you're sharing this message with other people, as I shared it with him, it's like what you just said. I just feel like I need to share this with other people. He said, when you share it in that way, people are just going to want more of it, right? I want to share this with you because it's so much fun.
Yeah,
right?
The word fun is really it's that fulfillment.
Yeah.
I found this when I was a kid, and I walked away from it. Right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of us can say that, and when we come out here, it brings us back to our childhood.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the adventurous spirit,
Yeah.
fully alive, young child. You know what I mean? Like running out. Like I was on the beach all the time in Nova Scotia. Like, oh man, what an adventure! Crabs and like all the life living crawling out of the ocean. Like it was like, no, life has so many rich adventures awaiting us all. And me and Carl, we're ready to.
We're ready to share.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ready to share, and we're eager to share. So I think that's it for today, for the first podcast. Thank you very much for tuning in. if you've listened this long, we appreciate your time and energy and effort for being here with us. And you can catch us at theadventurecoaches.ca. Look for us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, The Adventure Coaches. And we're just going to keep coming out with more content for you and more stories and more adventures. So please feel free to send us your questions or your comments or complaints, concerns, or queries, and we'll do our best to get back to you and get what you want out into the interwebs and share those things with you.
Yeah, we'll see you on the trail.
See you on the trail. I love it. Let's see where we're at here now. That was good. That was
Yeah, that was
50
pretty.
minutes, man. We can stop these.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, stop those and I'm gonna save